this is, kind of the heart of what we do. This is really the key to this existing 15, 20, 30 years from now, so one of the biggest challenges we have, not just with clubs sometimes, but, with SKA, with our national organization, is we get too top heavy. So we get a few dedicated people and they train really, really hard, and they're so focused on their training that they don't tell anybody about it. And then we get a whole bunch of black belts and maybe, a few white belts who trickle in. So this has been our main focus for the past few years is, tell a friend. So it's, the PE classes, I think most of us probably joined through the PE class. We did this and we're like, hey, this is awesome. And then, someone was kind enough to say, hey, we've got a club on campus. For Dwayne and I, it was Sam. Our second semester we could speak, that's the second time, and he said, hey, we've got a club, you can do more of this. But we're thinking, well, man, like, he's so busy leading all the practices, and he's got to recruit, like, what if it didn't occur to him to say anything? So you'd be surprised, just by your example, just by showing up and telling your friends what you do, you can really help this thing grow. Like, we look at the Fullerton crew. We haven't had a Fullerton club in like 12 years. And then what happened? One of the students goes to a PE class and starts opening his big mouth about, what if we had a club, right? So look how many people we have. Look how much has grown from just Dwayne talking to whoever would listen. Imagine if all of you guys, not just at Fullerton, but at Long Beach, if every one of you attended this PE class and talked to just one person. Not a big sales pitch, not this, that, and you can do that, and we can break boards, but just say, hey, that was a great front kick you had. Where you can polish it, you should come to the club. Hey, at one-time engagement, you really came at me. Where you can get even better at that? Come to the club. So honestly, we have a whole section on marketing and membership growth. About 95% of it is go to a PE class and tell one person there that we got a club. And we'll have, this room won't be big enough. We'll be screaming to the people in that other room, in our next meeting. Don't forget, guys, all right? So that right there is 95% of it. Everybody, part of your practice, number one, you have to train with Sam. I mean, Trung and I can, can show you what we've got, as other students can come and teach you as best we can, but you should learn from the guy who's teaching us. You think we got something good, you should see what he's got to share. Where do you think we got it from? So you should be in the PE class anyways. And when you're there, don't have your blinders on. Help your juniors by talking to them. All right, that's into that speech. Approaching potential new members, the simplest thing you can do is you don't need an elevator pitch. You don't need a big speech in your pocket. The best compliments are a sincere one. Like I was saying, just look around. See people who are trying hard, who are pushing as hard as you, who inspired you, and then just tell them that. Hey, you did this, and that was great. My name's Austin. My name's Tim. We have club practices. Come to that. That's it. So that's the third point. Elevator pitch. Don't need one. You really don't. Like I was a marketing major, so for me, selling to people, talking to people, that's kind of what I did, and people find it intimidating, but it's not a pitch. It's not. You're the pitch. Lower stance, loudest ki, strongest eyes. You're the sales pitch. You're the one they're like, wow, like, where did he get that from? Did he show up with that? Or did he get it from coming to practices? And kind of overcoming objections. It's a funny thing. It's a trend we need to change because when I moved back down here a couple of years ago from the Bay, I came to some of Sam's classes and I just talked to an occasional student, and here are the things I heard. I thought you had to be a black belt to be in the club. Oh, I just did the PE class. I didn't think I was good enough to join the club. I thought you had to be really good to join the club. Or, I'm graduating, so I thought it was just for students. I mean, half the people who are at the practices, haven't been a student in over a decade, So you're gonna hear all these things, but you won't hear them unless, number one, you talk to somebody, right? So, David, I'm graduating next month. Can I join?
Yes, you can.
What are you going to tell them? You can tell them, yeah. Or you could say, man, half the guys there graduated 14 years ago. I mean, it's almost been like a whole college student since some of us were last in college, right? Or, you know, Austin, I thought I had to be really good to be in the club.
No way, a lot of us here are brand new members.
Right? You know what I mean? So, like, the answers are easy. When you find the right feeling, you have the answers. You know what I mean? So when you go there, have the right feeling. It's not even about pitching or selling, but just say, you know what? Every one of us can think of something we got from this experience. And then, you know, pay it forward. You know, like, man, when you feel really good about what's doing for you, how can you deny someone else that opportunity? And you have that feeling, you'll have the right words. You know, so, you know, point 5 is just an invitation. You know, just extend your hand, say, hey, here's when we meet. You know, if you have any questions, you know, come by. You know, ask me next time you see me. That invitation, you know, it's kind of, you know, you throw that net out, and, you know, you might aim for 10 fish, you might catch 20, you might catch 2. Those are 2 more than we would have had if you did and said nothing, you know? So, you know, when you guys are up here and you guys are doing this a few years from now, you know, you guys are gonna decide how big this crowd is. It's up to you to put butts in these chairs a few years from now, and it starts now, all right? I love to speechify. I used to be shy, then I started training with Sam. All right. And then, you know, so retention, this is the other part that's really important, is, you know, you don't invite a guest to your home, open the door, and then walk away, right? You've got to interact, you know, you don't have to go and be their new best friend, but especially when you invite new people in, and, you know, as you guys grade and grow, you know, that relationship is important. You got to let them know they're not just part of a bunch of tough guys and tough women, but it's a family. You know, like it's more than just practicing together. We sometimes, you know, go to a movie together, you know what I mean? You know, having you guys, especially Fullerton, you know, always have Chipotle after practice, like breaking bread together. You know, it's funny, it's a lot of the stuff outside of practice that keeps the group together and keeps it growing, you know? So like our end of the year practice we have is a perfect example of that. It's not just for us to go yell somewhere pretty and be tough. Bring your friends, bring your family, you know? So yeah, be a tour guide to SKA, you know? So the more you train, the more you get involved, the more you'll be able to show new people, here's what it's about, here's what we do. And, you know, again, you know, we kind of talk about like selling the benefits before the responsibility, but you're the sales pitch. That's kind of my feeling, you know? When people see you, you know, when you train hard and you're honest with yourself, it's not about adding strengths. It's polishing away the flaws. You know what I mean? It's, you have like a diamond in a clod of dirt. You don't need to make a bigger diamond. Just wash off the dirt, and all you have left is a beautiful diamond. And people are going to see that. You'd be surprised how your training changes you and changes your energy. So you walk in a room, people are going to see things like, wow, look how she holds herself up. Look how he talks to people. Like, I want to be like that. That's selling the benefits by just being you. The more you train, the more benefit you'll project, even when you're not aware of it. And then dues, I can't emphasize enough, you know, some people have this mentality, you know, this poor man's mentality, like, oh, we're not all about money. And we're not. It shows in our prices. You know, you can walk down any street into a McDojo, and I see people, and I call them that because I see I've literally been, just out of curiosity, I've been to different schools and watched their black belt tests. And I've seen 7 and 8-year-olds flail at each other, you know, helplessly with no form, and then get a black belt handed to them. And they're gonna walk out of there thinking they're a black belt. And I look at their prices, and their parents paid $200 for that test for their kid to do and know nothing about martial arts, you know? And that's just for the test. That's not for the dues. That's not for all the cool weaponry they walk out with. And in the end, we charge $50 a semester, $50 for like 3 months of training. That doesn't even pay for 1 month at a place that will let you walk out of there thinking you actually can protect yourself and thinking you know something when you don't. You know, so I mean, especially if you're diligent, if you train like you should, I mean, we charge probably like $2 a practice, and you're training with Sam Sandans, training with a Godon, you know what I mean? So, you know, I think some of the other clubs on campus are free, and that's cool. You get what you pay for. You know what I mean? You see the difference? So, you know, when people are like $50, yeah, come to our practice, see why. do the math, you know what I mean? So, yeah, anyways, that's my speech on that. Dues, pay your dues, pay them on time, you know, you cannot, as you grow in level, you know, more level equals more responsibility. And what it really comes out to mean is the higher you're elevated, the better example you have to be. So you cannot ask anyone ever in life to do something that you wouldn't do yourself, that you don't have the guts to do. So you can't ever tell your juniors to pay their dues and pay them on time if you don't. And you don't have to be an officer for that to be the case. If you've been training a day longer than this guy, you're a senior, lead by example. Every one of us is a leader, with or without title, you know? In practice, you're leading from right where you stand with your feeling, with your form. That comes in all forms, paying your dues, on time, in full. Don't make anyone have to ask you, are you gonna do it this week? You know, be proactive. You know, it's the easiest way to say, hey, I appreciate what you guys are doing for me, you know? And then when you do it, you can demand it of your juniors, unapologetically, you know? Sam, when we get ready for your black belt test, says do 5,000 beside, you know, and we do it. And because we do it, we can turn our juniors in, you know, 30, 40 years from now, when Sam starts slowing down, we can take over and tell our juniors, do 5,000. I'm just saying, you're a young man. We need to follow. But you know, like, that's the thing, it's like if any one of your seniors got hit by a bus and didn't show up tomorrow, the next one down the line can say, yes, do this, because down the line, we follow each other's example. That's gonna be your responsibility someday, all right? It starts with simple things like paying your dues on time, you know? And showing up, you know, this is a point here, you know, everyone's get their money's worth. You know what, if they pay their dues and they come to this practice and you don't come to this practice, how are they gonna get their money's worth? Who are they gonna learn from? You know? I used to teach a kids class when I was up in the Bay Area, and the first batch of kids, they did okay, and we lost almost all of them, and the second batch was a little bit better, and then we lost almost all of them, and the third batch came in and they were really strong. And the thing I figured out is the first couple batches, they didn't get the full experience because they were learning from me, but they learned best from each other. So each batch made the next one a little bit stronger, a little bit better. And the next kids that came in, they weren't listening to this old guy. They're looking around to see what the other kids are doing. And it's really no different here, especially with a new dojo like Fullerton. You know, white belts are looking at the white belts like, okay, black belts are too distant from me. But what can a white belt do? That's what you guys are there to show them. You guys are the ones who are going to show the white belts how they go from white to black. We're too distant for a brand new person walking in, you know? So if you want them to get their money's worth and have them feel they're getting it, you've got to show up and be your best, you know what I mean? So the same way you guys showed up today, all of you, you know what I mean? This is part of your practice. Okay, I'm speechifying. Let me know if I'm running over. And so, yeah, basically the last couple points, you know, so this is something I think we're going to start doing more of and really focusing on, is not just officer meetings, but open club meetings. You know, when we invite new people, we want them to see that they're part of something that's growing. Part of the reason why, in my theory, why Fullerton went away is I know when I was at Cal State Fullerton, you know, I knew there was a club, but there were no meetings I attended. You know, I didn't feel the family of it. I just kind of, for me, it was like gym dues. I didn't realize we were part of something that needed to live and grow and thrive. So, you know, for the next semesters, you know, we really need to start having kind of more meetings where we really invite people. You guys come and invite the new members who come so they can see it's part of something. It's not just like paying your gym dues. And we're going to have, you know, awards and recognition because, you know, there are people who really, everyone's bringing something special. And it's important for that to be acknowledged, you know, so we need to do that. And part of your practice is to show up so that we're like, okay, who had the best spirit? We want to have more than one person in the room who noticed, you know, so show up regularly, you know, and build each other up. And last thing, and this is just kind of my own personal thing, but, you know, I was sitting at this last Q test and I was looking at all the people grading. I was thinking, wow, like if we took that person's skill and that person's mentality, we wouldn't have a Q, we'd have a showdown. If we took this person's that, you know, and that from this person, we'd have a strong showdown. Like, you'd be surprised, within this group, we've got, you know, no one's perfect across the board, but we've got someone who has black belt level mentality, black belt level form, but then they're weaker here, weaker there. The more you guys come together, it's kind of like, you know, the curry dish that you know, that we have today. It's like all the ingredients come together to make something beautiful. Each ingredient's good, but when it blends, you know, and you add some heat to it, that's what our practice is. You guys gotta come, you're each the ingredient. Each of you has what the other person needs to get to that next level. So you gotta come together, you gotta share it, you gotta add that heat, you know? And that's how we grow and retain. Yeah. I hope that's you. Oh, dang it, okay. Data collection. Jessica's been doing a great job of tallying and bringing information together. Part of our data collection that's really important is we have to pay dues on time, and we have to get our membership cards in at the same time. Some people can kind of do this disjointed thing, and it's not fair to her. It's not fair. Is it Beth, I think, is doing it at Fullerton? You know, it's not fair to them when you do things disjointedly. So get it in on time, the card filled out, because we need to collect the data. The only way we're gonna know if we're growing or how we're doing is if we have accurate information. And for, you know, for them to get it in piecemeal over the semester, like, you know, she's a student just like you guys, you know, Beth's a student just like you guys. So she doesn't have time to, over months, kind of, oh yeah, here's a piece, there's a piece, add it in there. She should get it one time, on time, and be able to do her job, then move on to her studies and her practice, you know? So that's, you know, so then when we do that, we'll be able to kind of have better tracking tools. We'll be able to set more goals and plan and track how we're doing. So when you guys have your officer meetings, you know, she can have the report. Her report shouldn't be, I'm waiting for this person and that person and the other person. That's it. All right, thanks you guys.
Talking about curry and everything, we'll have